The movie kicks off with a brief explanation that portrays chess as a tough game, with its pieces symbolizing people indirectly attempting to harm each other.
Transcends culture.
Following this, we shift scenes to introduce Abe, a man engrossed in a chess game, revealing his status as a formidable gangster in the East. On the opposing side of the chessboard is Frankie, a rugged gangster who reigns over the West. Both are notorious for their ruthlessness and challenging nature. One morning, Abe's daughter wakes him up, unveiling a different side of him as a family man with a loving family. At home, Abe doesn't exhibit any signs of being a gangster boss.
Father alone and go and get ready for school.
Wake up, wake up.
After preparing for the day, he has breakfast and makes coffee, asserting its deliciousness to his wife, who playfully jests that it tastes like store-bought instant coffee. Meanwhile, their daughter requests to spend the night at her grandmother's house, and Abe agrees, emphasizing the importance of completing her homework.
So full of it. It's instant.
As Abe leaves for the day, his personal driver waiting, his wife discovers his accidentally left behind bipolar medication. While waiting outside, Abe, anticipating his private driver, Benjamin, hands him a self-made cup of coffee. After tasting it, Benjamin enthusiastically affirms its quality, pleasing Abe. However, in a playful manner, Benjamin adds that it's almost as good as instant coffee. Meanwhile, a police car discreetly observes them from a distance.
A cat and mouse with the boys in blue.
As Abe and Benjamin commence their journey, they notice the persistent police tailing them. After a while, Abe directs Benjamin to lose the police, and Benjamin agrees. Caught in a traffic light, Benjamin swiftly takes an alternative route, successfully eluding the police. During their ride, Abe discloses that he has a scheduled meeting tonight with Frankie, the gangster boss from the Western region, who has been causing trouble in Abe's Eastern territory. Annoyed by Frankie's actions, Abe also attempts to contact Richard, a man usually assisting his group with money laundering. However, despite recently providing Richard with money, he doesn't respond to Abe's calls. Frustrated, Abe plans to take some action against Richard.
Been with me for over a week now. These clowns. It's about getting that shit done.
Later, Abe met with his reliable assistant, who sported a snowy beard. Abe handed him a letter containing information about Richard and instructed him to deliver it to apartment number 23 precisely at 3 p.m. Following this, Kane, a formidable and unrelenting individual in the realm of boxing, practiced his skills. Post-training, Kane headed home and made a quick stop at a convenience store for some drinks. While at the cashier, he noticed two intimidating individuals staring at him, prompting Kane to imagine confronting them.
A monster.
Despite this, he maintained composure as two police officers enter the store.
It was all just a beautiful, violent illusion playing out in his mind.
In the end, Kane reached his apartment building, where a neighbor seemed inclined for a challenge. But Kane refrained due to the presence of a woman.
Okay.
Once inside, he swiftly packed and took a shower. Simultaneously, Abe's trusted assistant, following Abe's instructions, promptly delivered the letter to Kane's apartment by slipping it under the door. At precisely 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Kane, having just finished a shower, grabbed the letter and relaxed while watching the news. The news reported a brutal killing that had occurred, revealing Kane as the one responsible for taking down some gangsters the previous night.
Have to be a monster.
Opening the letter, Kane found information and photos of Richard, prompting him to realize the need to eliminate Richard immediately. Now, let's shift to Richard, who, with his pregnant wife, received a call from an unknown number. Suspecting it was Abe, He declined the call and opted to take a shower, preparing for an important client meeting.
Fucking stud.
Meanwhile, Richard's wife, cooking in the kitchen, accidentally heard a message notification from his phone. Upon checking, she discovered Richard had an appointment with another woman, exposing his deception about the client meeting. Shortly after, Richard confessed to his wife and advised her not to wait for his return home due to a late-night meeting with a client. Subsequently, Richard set off, unaware that his wife was covertly following him.
Cool lollipop?
Simultaneously, Kane was covertly tailing Richard's car. Inside the car, Richard engaged in a close conversation with a woman he intended to meet. She expressed her dislike for Richard's pregnant wife, but Richard tried to reassure her about the secrecy of their relationship.
What, slipstream is?
Meanwhile, Richard's wife attempted to call her younger sister, Kelly, who was consistently occupied. After numerous tries, Kelly finally answered and learned that Richard's wife was distressed because her husband was meeting another woman. Upon hearing this, Kelly advised her to be patient and then contacted Richard, discovering that the woman he was meeting was actually his own sister. At that moment, Kelly urged Richard not to meet him that night. Consequently, he decided to head to a basement. Simultaneously, Kane continued to tail him. Upon reaching a parking lot, Kane abruptly pulled out a gun and approached Richard. However, his shot missed, and unfortunately, the stray bullet struck Richard's wife, shocking Kane. After this, he swiftly left the scene. On his way, Kane dismounted his motorbike and called Abe's wife to inquire about Abe's whereabouts. Afterward, the scene returns to Kane. At that moment, Benjamin escorted him to a concealed bar where Kane was set to meet Frankie, the gangster boss from the West. In due course, Frankie entered the bar accompanied by his younger brother. Kane extended his hand for a handshake, but Frankie declined. At this point, Frankie's younger brother attempted to insult Kane in Greek, thinking Kane wouldn't understand. However, Kane comprehended the insult.
Tony, you're welcome to have a drink.
They all took their seats, and Kane promptly questioned Frankie about the continuous disturbances he was causing in the eastern region, which unmistakably belonged to Kane. Frankie, avoiding a direct response, proposed playing chess first. Eventually, Kane agreed to engage in a chess game with Frankie before delving into further discussions. Just as they were about to commence the game, Frankie inquired about the wager. Since Kane didn't respond, Frankie suggested that if he won, the eastern region would officially become his territory. Conversely, if he lost, he would give Kane some money. Frankie's words were essentially challenging Kane's authority. In response, Kane declared that the bet for the chess game would be his life, indicating that the loser would be killed immediately. Initially, Frankie believed Kane was merely joking, but Kane was deadly serious about the bet.
You for real, old man?
At that point, Frankie, reluctant to risk his life over a chess game, attempted to leave with his younger brother. However, Kane's right-hand person and one of his crew members blocked their way. Despite Frankie's warning against foolish actions, claiming he had sent men to visit Kane's family, Kane remained calm and challenged Frankie to contact his men immediately. Feeling challenged, Frankie called his men to go to Kane's house.
Yeah, we could.
However, upon entering, they discovered Kane's family wasn't there. Instead, they found a box. When opened, the box triggered a sudden explosion.
What's in the box?
Boom.
It turned out that Kane had planned this since morning and had hidden a bomb. Now, whether he liked it or not, Frankie had to engage in a chess game with Kane, and if he lost, he would face the consequence of being killed on the spot.
Okay.
Win lives, loser dies.
Shortly after, the two proceeded to play chess. During the game, Frankie became very upset because he didn't anticipate the situation unfolding this way. Meanwhile, Kane suddenly felt anxious as he realized he had left his medication at home. In the morning, it was the designated time for Kane to take his pill. However, Kane forgot to take his pills, leading to a loss of self-control. Eventually, he was defeated in the chess game by Frankie, who proceeded to intimidate Kane. In his agitated state, Kane impulsively killed Frankie's younger brother right in front of Frankie. Following this, Kane began speaking incoherently and cursing at those around him. Turning to his right-hand person, he inquired about the number of people they had killed. However, in his out-of-control state, Kane suddenly killed his right-hand person and others present. Benjamin realized that Kane had lost control due to not taking his medication. At the same moment, Kane appeared and swiftly aimed his gun at Frankie. Without hesitation, he shot and killed Frankie. Then, he invited Benjamin to have a drink, stating that the people there deserved their fate. Subsequently, Kane offered a gun to Benjamin. When Benjamin refused, Kane pointed the gun at him, stating he would shoot Benjamin on the count of 3, that if Benjamin didn't shoot first, he would meet the same fate as the others.
Get the fucking gun!
Here, it became evident that the brutal figure Kane was in fact Abe. It turns out Abe had a dual personality, capable of being the calm Abe or the ruthless Kane. However, since Abe wasn't taking his medication, he couldn't control Kane anymore. Eventually, Benjamin was forced to shoot Abe, also known as Kane, when the countdown reached 2.